good to have you with us at the 9 p.m. edition of the Urban Debate. Tonight, we're going to focus on the top stories here unfolding in our country. And the biggest story, of course, is the vaccine drive. Day 3 for shot in the arm in our country. But as we saw on day 1, the technical challenges related to the COVID app, well, they continue to impact the vaccination drive on day 2 and today as well in some parts of our country. In fact, earlier in the day in Bengaluru and in many other parts of Karnataka, it was quite a challenge to upload any details, to even access the details of beneficiaries in the COVID app. And we were told while vaccination has been halted in some centers, in other centers it's moving extremely slowly, or they're just going ahead with the vaccination and are later going to manually update it on the app when it becomes functional. As you all know, Maharashtra, in fact, the experience of what happened on Saturday itself, on Saturday night, said that they're going to suspend the vaccination drive for 2 days and will only start after that because they've told the center that there have been a lot of problems and now the center has said it is going to take a couple of days. So now tomorrow Maharashtra says they're going to start. The glitches seem to have been largely resolved. In fact, even the Mumbai municipal body has confirmed that the drive will resume from tomorrow. Although this is as far as Mumbai is concerned, we're still waiting for some more details for rest of Maharashtra. Now, what was really happening? Firstly, the automated text messages were not going to the intended beneficiaries. The app is supposed to tell people that your name is up next for the next vaccination slot and you need to turn up at this place at this time. Those text messages were not going. In a lot of cases, hospitals themselves had to call up the beneficiaries and inform them personally, manually. The software was also unable to upload the names of beneficiaries. This was the other big complaint that actually happened. And several of the names of beneficiaries is actually missing in the app. People landed up, but in fact, their names were missing. For example, let me tell you a few of the big problems that happened in some of these states. In Karnataka, names of beneficiaries were not reflecting on the portal pages. Then there was a lot of delay in vaccination, the whole process, because of buffering. The app took too long to buffer from one stage to the other. Drive was actually cancelled at a center after the COVID app did not function. Similarly, in West Bengal's authorities said that they're facing difficulties in uploading the data of the beneficiaries and so a lot of the processes were being done manually and being updated later in the app. In Maharashtra as well, the state just said after Saturday itself that it's too slow. There are glitches that are taking place, so we're going to just wait and watch for 2 days before we go on. In Manipur also, there were minor glitches that were reported and then resolved, but the process was extremely slow. Similarly, in Uttarakhand, there were technical glitches that were reported on day 1, though. A lot of these states, remember, held vaccination on Saturday and then on Monday. So Sunday, a lot of the states also took a break. It wasn't a pan-India for day 2 as well. Delhi also reported minor glitches, but they said that they were managed to resolve some of the uploading problems in time, although the messages were still not getting delivered to the beneficiaries. So this is one of the big takeaways of what's happened today. We're also going to get you more details of what Bharat Biotech said today. They released an extremely detailed statement about what could be the possible side effects, what you need to know before you take the Bharat Biotech vaccine, which is the co-vaccine. But let me first say good evening to the panelists who are joining us. Manu Zakaria, cybersecurity expert, a tech expert with us this evening. Dr. Anis Sinha, associate professor for IIPH Gandhinagar with us this evening as well, who's worked on several immunization programs and has a good understanding of how these programs function. Dr. Prabir Chatterjee, a public health consultant at the State Health Resource Center in Raipur. Thank you to all of you for joining us. Dr. Sinha, I want to start off with you. Now, while a lot of our earlier vaccination programs were, manually done, give us a sense of the kind of load that comes on a system. Now, we are still in phase 1. It's still just for 3 crore people. At some point, we hope to open it up to everybody in this country. What's the kind of daily load that we're talking about that this app clearly seems to have struggled with?
Yeah, very good evening. And after we are meeting on this platform, after a successful beginning of our immunization drive, which we all were waiting, and just let me clarify that the vaccine and the vaccine processes are absolutely on track, and there is nothing to worry as far as the vaccines and things are concerned. However, there have been some glitches with the IT platform which was being used to manage this entire process. And at places like you have been also showing in various states, there were some issues. So it was the first day, and I'm sure the efforts must have been gone into the last 2 days to resolve some of these, most of these issues. And we may see app in a better functioning mode tomorrow, and things may be starting for a better tomorrow. Now, like the state like Gujarat, it didn't stop today's vaccination because of the app glitches. So some of the states, they have been planned in like 3 days or 4 days in a week will be done for the COVID vaccine, and the remaining days it will be for the other immunization and other programs that have suffered because of the COVID and all. So they want to run that program also. So they have divided 3 days for this or 4 days for this. But there were some glitches for this app, which I'm sure will have been addressed to in these 2 days. So maybe like most of them have been resolved before we begin drive tomorrow.
In fact, let me ask Manu Zakaria this question. Manu Zakaria, there were a lot of dry runs also that we did for this app. And obviously, everybody knows for a country like ours, the traffic that will come on is going to be huge. But we knew what we were intending to do. Could we have avoided this, or is it normal for the app to go through such trouble in the early days?
Yes, good evening, everyone. So the first point is it's a technical problem. So these kind of glitches are likely to happen. It's easy for us to blame the system or the people behind it, but yes, systems go down. So at the same time, I'm not justifying whatever happened. So my point is, if you look at the banking automation that happened years before, during the initial stages, the time that we took for transaction after computerization, it was almost double or triple the time. Okay, but slowly it picked up. So it was the first week or the first day there were issues. Secondly, yes, dry runs were ended, but generating the real traffic during the dry run is impossible because of huge amount of volume of traffic that we are handling. So there were dry runs, but at the same time, I would also like to add the election process that we do. Why do we do it in stages? Similarly, this process also, if we had planned in a very minimal stages, let's say first week or first day, we do it for 10,000 people. I'm just giving a random number, and then slowly you increase. You could have avoided this, but technical systems goes down. It is practically impossible for a huge project like this to simulate the actual load. But a staged approach through that we can refine the system and address all these glitches.
All right, yes, I do agree with you that it's bound to happen. In fact, even now, quite often we see for the most of the established banks, their own online system keeps going through a lot of trouble. The biggest of the banks in our country, often their system goes down, and that leads to a lot of chaos. But this is the vaccination program, and the fact of the matter is that it's a program, Dr. Chatterjee, where people will need 2 doses. You need to reach out to people. You need to inform them when to come, where to come. Right now, it's not even in their hands. The access is not with them. And then they need to come back for the right dose at the right time of the right brand. Can we afford to have a system that doesn't function properly for even a day?
Good evening.
Oh, we seem to have lost that line with Dr. Chatterjee. We're going to try and fix that line with him and then go back to him. Dr. Sinha, would you like to take this question?
Yeah.
Yes, Dr. Sinha.
Yeah. Well, there is no doubt that there were issues with the technical issues with the CoWIN IT platform. But then also I would say the health workers tried their best to ensure that this vaccination is done, and they have done it tick mark manually, and then can be later on it was uploaded. So that way they tried to manage, and since it was a first day, this might have occurred because of the first days. Earlier, the cyber experts said that the huge traffic was not possible to generate that as in the dry run. So the app may not have been handled that much huge traffic or the transactions on that day. But then I'm sure it was anticipated that this huge traffic will be there. So now 2 days they must have rectified the issues. And as you earlier said, that India has seen many campaigns of a size almost to this, doing manually. There were no IT platform used in those things, and they have done it successfully. So with this, I would say it's an addition. It's a more advanced way of doing a campaign. So this will go on with minor, of course, we may see in coming days also minor glitches occurring. Of course, the major one will be fixed, but the minor ones keep on happening.
Right.
Because there are internet issues also at places.
Right. Absolutely. No, absolutely. You and I are having internet issues, but this is a debate where we can afford to do that. To what extent can we afford to do for such a large immunization program? Dr. Chatterjee, I believe we have you back with us. Go ahead, please.
The first thing is, it's obvious that manual systems work better. They're more stable. I think computer systems can be made to work, and that's good, precisely because we don't know, for instance, today, if you ask me, what are the hemoglobins of girls women who came for antenatal checkups today in India. We don't know. It's very sad that we have an IT platform being used only for immunization, only for specific immunization. We had a lot of time actually to put up IT platforms. 10 or 20 years we've been trying to put up IT platforms, and we've had problems earlier. But we didn't try to address them as seriously as we've tried to address this one. This has been quite good. I mean, if it's only 5 or 10% or 20% of records that were to be uploaded, and this is that we had for routine immunization, for routine antenatal care. But I think we do have some very good platforms. We have it for TB. TB, we have the Nikshay platform, which uploads data of all the TB patients, and there are good number of TB patients around this country. The whole thing is trying to do it in real time. That's where the difficulty is. Usually when we do a survey, even if we do it in a very remote area, we do the survey, keep the data in the app, in the Android phone, and then only upload it when we come into a good network area. So the data goes in the evening. Out here, they're trying to upload the data and then do the immunization. That is going to be difficult, and they have to decide whether they want. It's a trade-off, I'd say. Do you want the data very fast because this is the early days of the immunization campaign? And in the early days of the immunization campaign, you may want to know a lot about adverse effects. And then we should probably not try to do it in areas where there's very bad internet connectivity. We should try to do it in areas where there's better internet connectivity, and then slowly roll it down to the more distant and difficult areas.
Right.
I think that's basically it. We can set up a system and use it for routine work, not only for this COVID. Thanks.
In fact, let me take up that point and go back to Manu. Manu, we're also hoping that as we go along, more number of people get the confidence for the vaccine, turn up for the vaccination, we increase more centers, more people get on board. At some point, we include more categories and open it up for everybody. Now, what will that entail in terms of strengthening this platform then? Because obviously the government needs to figure that out right away and give it that kind of resources or strength or whatever is needed to ensure it doesn't fail then.
Yes. So, as the previous expert was saying, the human or the manual method is more robust. But yes, I agree that to a certain extent that comment is very valid. But why we picked up the IT platform to do the vaccination is there are, I think, two reasons. One is to speed up the things, and second is to avoid errors. Now, if the platform is not able to address these 2 points, then the complete drill or the complete setup is a big failure. So the authorities are looking into it. They have to look at it. Now, one more very serious issue that I see when a manual intervention is happening is a lot of malpractices could be happening. Say, for example, there might be people, I'm just giving a random example. There might be people who don't want to take the vaccine, but they want certificate so that, they can sell it or XYZ. There are so many black market activities are already happening in the cyberspace related to COVID and all those things. So when there is no automated system or a platform or IT platform, these kind of malpractices could be, the market could be developing for these kind of malpractices. That is another area. So the government has to look at all these things, address all these issues, and bring the system back to full force probably in the next 1 week or 10 days. We all agree that we don't have the luxury of time, in the sense that we cannot prolong the testing, saying that we will launch it only after the system is stable.
Correct.
The time is we have to act very fast. So probably a staged approach and a systematic review of what actually happened, what is the root cause of the problem, and trying to address it would be the ideal approach, is my point.
Okay, fair enough, and I think that's what the government will also have to look at as we ramp it up. It needs to be done simultaneously with that kind of a strength being given to the app itself and the portal itself. It cannot end up being what at one point of time IRCTC used to be, especially on crucial days when it would open up for booking and everybody would scramble to try and get a ticket. It can't be like that. Very quickly, I just want to also highlight another aspect apart from this when it comes to the vaccination drive, and that's a statement or actually a detailed fact sheet that Bharat Biotech released. And Bharat Biotech actually listed out both minor and major side effects. This detailed fact sheet also listed out in what cases one should not get a co-vaccine. So, for example, they say that the vaccine is still in phase 3 of the clinical trials, where about 25,800 participants have been given the first dose of vaccine on 6th of January. They also said that, there will be some minor adverse effects that you could face, including body ache, headache, fever, malaise. There could be rashes, which is actually something that a lot of people have reported as a minor side effect on day 1, weakness, nausea and vomiting. They also said that this is not a vaccine for pregnant or lactating mothers. Now, just for our viewers to understand, Dr. Anees Sinha, one would assume that they say so because they've also not managed to test it right now on a lot of humans, on pregnant women, and so they don't know what the response could be.
Yeah, it's simply because they haven't tested as of now among the how the vaccine behaves in the pregnant women and the lactating women. So it's not advisable for them, and it's not it's basically now you can call it as a contraindication at the moment, unless the trial data is available among those category of population. Similarly, this is not also for children, as they haven't tested among children. So once they do some bridge trials or something like that, then only it can be administered to those category. So at the moment, children, pregnant women and lactating mothers are not advised this vaccine.
Yes.
And the same is true for the Covishield.
Actually,
also.
I was just going to say that you're right. Same is true for Covishield. It's not specifically for Bharat Biotech's co-vaccine, because even for Covishield, all of those detailed tests and trials still have to be conducted. In terms of major adverse effects, Bharat Biotech said, they said difficulty in breathing, fast heart rate, rash all over your body, dizziness and weakness. So in case you do get the co-vaccine and you show these symptoms, don't get too worried. This is likely to happen. Do refer to a doctor and they will tell you what to do next. But if you have allergies, or fever already, if you have a bleeding disorder, if you are on medication that affects your immune system, or if you're pregnant or a lactating mother, or if you've received another COVID vaccine, don't take Covaxin. A lot of our viewers actually, and Dr. Sinha would know because he was on those panels, called up to with this question that if I am on already a treatment or a medication that's impacting my immune system, will I be able to take it? And here is Bharat Biotech saying, well, not us. So do go back to your doctors if you're undergoing any treatment and ask them some questions before you decide to take this vaccine. Thank you so much to the panelists who've joined us on this conversation to help us understand all aspects. We continue to keep COVID and the vaccination drive as one of our biggest focuses. Now, today was day 3. And at the end of every day, the Health Ministry actually holds a news briefing to give us updates on how the day went, what were the big highlights. They also told us that there have been about 580 odd cases of adverse effects that were reported. 7 people so far in 3 days were hospitalized and kept under observations, but nothing very concerning that has come about. They also said that there were 2 people who died, people who got vaccine on the first day and then died. But in the first case, the postmortem showed that it was because of a cardiac issue not linked to the vaccine. In the second case, the investigation is still on. Listen in.
A cumulative of 580 A5 have been reported. अब तक 580 एडवर्स इवेंट्स फॉलोइंग इम्यूनाइजेशन रिपोर्ट हुई हैं और इनमें से 7 लोग हॉस्पिटलाइजेशन के लिए भर्ती हुए. Delhi had 3. Out of those, 2 have been discharged, and 1 with fainting is under observation at Max Hospital. And in Uttarakhand, 1 is stable and under observation at AIIMS Rishikesh. Similarly, for Chhattisgarh, 1 is under observation at Government Medical College, Nandigram. Karnataka, 2 cases. So 1 is fine and under observation at District Hospital, Chitradurga, and second case is under observation at General Hospital, चित्रदुर्ग. अब तक इससे संबंधित 2 मृत्यु रिपोर्ट हुई हैं. There are 2 deaths have been reported. One is male, which is 52 years age, was resident of Muradabad, UP. He was vaccinated on 16th of January and died on 17th. The post-mortem was done by a board of 3 doctors, which revealed that death was due to cardiopulmonary disease. So there was pocket of pus in lungs and enlarged heart. This death is not related to vaccination, as per the postmortem report. The second death, which was reported, is a male of 43 years age, resident of Bellary, Karnataka. He was also vaccinated on 16 January and unfortunately died on 18th. Cause of death is anterior wall infarction with cardiopulmonary failure. The postmortem has been planned today at Vijayanagar Institute of Medical Science, Bellary, Karnataka.
Well, moving on, let's talk about the topic number 2 here, and we put the spotlight on West Bengal, a state that goes to election this year. It was a massive show of strength as the countdown for Bengal politics begins. West Bengal Chief Minister and her ex-aide, her prodigy in a sense, Suvendhu Adhikari, are now locking horns. Both of them held rallies today in each other's bastions. Suvendhu Adhikari actually held a rally that was in Kolkata, in Tollygunj. However, there was a bit of a clash that took place between the BJP and the TMC. There was some amount of stone pelting that also took place. On the other hand, Mamata Banerjee went to Nandigram. Now, Suvendhu Adhikari's stronghold and bastion is Nandigram. This is where he fought election. Remember, Nandigram is also where Mamata took out that entire movement, the whole protest against the Tatars, which then finally catapulted her to winning elections and coming to power. So she actually went there and she made this claim that she's going to be, she's daring Suvendhu Adhikari, and she says she's ready to fight elections from Nandigram. So we don't know if she'll fight elections from 2 constituencies, but definitely she intends to fight elections from Nandigram. Listen in.
এমনকি আমি যদি নন্দীগ্রামে দাঁড়াই কেমন হয়? ভাবছিলাম কথার কথা একটু বললাম, একটু ইচ্ছে হলো, একটু গ্রামীণ জায়গা, একটু আমার মনের জায়গা, একটু আমার ভালোবাসার জায়গা। আমি হয়তো ইলেকশনের সময় অত টাইম দিতে পারবো না, কারণ আমাকে তো 294টা সিটে লড়তে হবে। সেই জন্য আপনারা কিন্তু কাজটা করে দেবেন, কিন্তু তারপরে যা কাজ আমি সব করে দেব।
আপনাকে নন্দীগ্রামের মানুষ ক্ষমা করবে না। আর আপনি বলেছেন নন্দীগ্রামে দাঁড়াবেন, দাঁড়াতেই পারেন, আপনাদের পার্টিতে এটা হয়, কারণ প্রাইভেট লিমিটেড কোম্পানি। আপনি আর আপনার তোলাবাজ ভাইপো যে কোনো মিটিং এ দাঁড়িয়ে এই কোম্পানির যে কোনো সিদ্ধান্ত ঘোষণা করতে পারে। ভারতীয় জনতা পার্টি তা নয়। ভারতীয় জনতা পার্টি একটা শৃঙ্খলিত পার্টি, ভারতীয় জনতা পার্টি একটা অনুশাসিত পার্টি। এই পার্টিতে কোনো সভাতে দাঁড়িয়ে কে কোথায় দাঁড়াবেন এভাবে বলা যায় না। এটাই আপনার কোম্পানির সঙ্গে ভারতীয় জনতা পার্টির তফাৎ। তবে আমি আপনাদের কাছে কথা দিতে পারি, নন্দীগ্রামে মাননীয়া দাঁড়ান, পদ্ম ফুলটা নিয়ে আমাকে পার্টি দিক বা অন্য কাউকে দিক, যাকেই দেবেন, আমি লিখে রাখুন আজকে সন্ধ্যাবেলা ঘড়িতে টাইম দিয়ে ডেট দিয়ে আপনারা লিখে রাখুন, 500,000 ভোটে যদি মাননীয়াকে হারাতে না পারি আমি রাজনীতি ছেড়ে দেব, আমি রাজনীতি ছেড়ে দেব, আপনি লিখে রাখুন।
Let's try and understand what's going on and how this is going to play out in the next few months. Rajat Roy, political analyst, joins us this evening. Chitrita Sanyal, senior journalist, also with us. Chitrita, let me start off with you. How is Bengal really viewing this face-off that's now taking place between Mamata Banerjee and Suvendhu Adhikari?
Well, Tanvi, I think now the situation is very clear. Mamata Banerjee, after her announcement, I think from contesting from 2 seats, one is her old seat, Bhawanipur, and Nandigram this time. Nandigram, we know that is a stronghold of Suvendhu Adhikari. And in 2007, the whole movement was practically led by Suvendhu Adhikari, and he was the lieutenant of Mamata Banerjee. And the Nandigram movement, which actually catapulted Mamata Banerjee to power. Now Mamata has actually described that she is going to contest from Nandigram. I feel there are a few reasons behind this. One is that it's an open challenge, and she wants to give that confidence to her voters, to her cadres, that she can take on Suvendhu Adhikari, and Suvendhu Adhikari, who's actually leading the exodus of Trinamool Congress to BJP. She's not scared of him. The other reason I feel that Nandigram, where the farmers movement started and where she actually coined like Ma Mati Manush campaign, it's a basically it was a farmers movement, and we know that in the recent she has been supporting wholeheartedly the farmers agitation which is going on in the outskirts of Delhi. So she wants to by announcing that she is going to contest from Nandigram, she's actually sending a signal to all the rural Bengal and to all the farmers that she is with them. Not only that, Nandigram population has close to 26 to 27% of minority community, which is at present with supporting Mamata Banerjee. So these are the few points which actually shows that why Mamata is choosing Nandigram as a constituency. And she may actually contest from 2 seats, from Bhawanipur as well as Nandigram. Bhawanipur, unfortunately, she had been winning, of course, but unfortunately, a sizable number of Bhawanipur's population is non-Bengali. Now, Mamata may be nervous because even the BJP and the opposition is thinking by announcing that she is going to contest for Nandigram shows the nervousness of Mamata Banerjee. She feels that the non-Bengali population of her old constituency, Bhawanipur, may actually side with BJP, as she feels that the non-Bengali population of West Bengal are natural allies of BJP. So these are the few reasons why Mamata may actually contest from both seats. Tanvi.
Mr. Rajat Roy, your view on, do you agree with what Chitrita is saying, that the choice of Nandigram is also, her going back to those roots.
Yeah, it's not only going back to her roots, because of this recent erosion in her party. Suvendhu Adhikari is one of the main face of that erosion. But number of people are leaving party and joining BJP. So there is a palpable nervousness within the party rank in TMC. And to stop that thing, at least to instill confidence into her cadres and party leaders, he has decided to take on Suvendhu Adhikari head on at Nandigram. And I go with what she has said, that it also is tantamount to helping and mobilizing the rural supporters throughout Bengal, because the erosion is taking place not only in Nandigram, it is visible in other districts too, in Bardhaman, Birbhum, and other districts too. So now she is showing some nervousness. Because of that, we could see that certain measures our government is taking now, like the recent initiatives like government at your doorsteps, and trying to garner support by doing a lot of things which could have been done in the last 10 years. And now she is trying her best to finish a lot of jobs which can attend and help the local people and the poorest of the poor, like issuing caste certificate. In 1.5 months, this government has issued more than 11 lakhs of caste certificate. So these are pending earlier. Then they are issuing health cards. And Mamata Banerjee is claiming that she would like to provide health cards to the entire population of the state. She would like to provide free ration to the entire population of the state. So a lot of things she is now uttering, which could have been done or initiated much earlier. The only the panic, the knee-jerk reaction coming from the party is really palpable, visible. And that's why Mamata Banerjee is now desperate to align herself with the farmers' cause. While it must be recorded that though her rise to power came through the farmers' movement until a peasant movement in both in Chengur and Nandigram, it should be noted that the poor peasants in Bengal remain poor despite her pro-poor Mahamati Manu stance. They are not given access to the market. Middlemen still rule the scenario, and the trading of the crops are still controlled by the middlemen. And there is no, APMC in Bengal. Mandis are there, but for to sell your crop in mandis,
Right.
you need to wait for at least 3 months. So causes are not being really serviced properly, and Mamata Banerjee is giving some actually symbolic support.
Yes, so like you said, a lot of the support that she should have done in the last 10 years, schemes that she should have implemented, which she's doing now because she realizes it's getting tougher. But will that help, Rajat Roy? Or will she have to, resort to identity politics, insider versus outsider kind of conversations to really swing this election?
The state is really polarized now, and it is getting more and more polarized on Hindu and Muslim line. The middle class, urban middle class is also getting polarized. And that is a dangerous thing taking place in our state. And it also signals other thing that in the coming election, this will have an adverse impact on the left and secular and Mamata Banerjee's party. So I'm not sure what would be the final outcome of it. But there is a serious challenge coming from the BJP's end. There is no doubt of it. And Mamata Banerjee's farmers' slogans are merely symbolic in the sense that all the left, Congress and Mamata Banerjee's party have not been able to mobilize the peasants, poor peasants, on the line of this Punjab and Delhi's farmers' agitation. They are going there, they are holding rallies, they are holding processions and uttering slogans, raising slogans, but we are not seeing any response coming from the peasants. And in West Bengal, the majority of the farmers are poor peasants, marginal croppers, sharecroppers. So they need to be addressed in completely different language. It is not merely giving access to the market.
Correct.
How they can get rid of the money lenders, how the banks can come to their help by providing agricultural credit. These are the issues are not being addressed.
Yes, absolutely. I understand that the point you're making, of course, we'll have to see to what extent does that damage Mamata Banerjee in the upcoming election. Chitrata Sanyal, the question that I asked, to what extent can identity politics and insider-outsider kind of now, narratives help Mamata Banerjee?
Let me tell you one thing. Mamata Banerjee at one time, of course, the whole party, there was a saying in West Bengal that you don't need an identity. You just need to be with the party of Mamata Banerjee because she's the one who gathers the votes for everybody, whether it's a film star or political leaders. So I guess her identity as the leader is still there. But at the same time, what BJP has done, they have played very well the card, the communal card, and as well as, if you remember, Tanvi, in the last Lok Sabha election, West Bengal voted almost as if it was an assembly election for them. They voted for BJP quite a lot. BJP got 18 seats, which was unexpected. Though BJP had actually said they are going to win close to 20 seats, they managed 18. So you can understand there's a lot of, I would say, anti-incumbency happening in West Bengal. BJP has obviously taken advantage of that. And as Rajat was saying, that there is a general feeling within West Bengal that Mamata Banerjee is only appeasing the minority community, which has actually helped BJP. And BJP in that same thing, the whole, I would say, anti-incumbency factor has become a sparing thing for BJP. They have actually managed to campaign all over the state, talking about mismanagement and misgovernance. So you can understand what is the advantage. And of course, the BJP has PM Narendra Modi's face with them. So it's almost like a fight between Narendra Modi and Mamata Banerjee and the misgovernance which the BJP is saying in West Bengal.
Yes, it's going to be interesting, and one can be very sure of the fact that it's going to get extremely thrilling, dirty at many points and ugly at many points. Thank you so much to both of you for joining us, with insights on how it is that these politics are right now being viewed in the state of West Bengal.